Call 801-575-8255. Also, we're following the weather. I'm looking at UDOT right now. A lot of snow in Layton and obviously north of the city. We've got a lot of snow issues as it's making its way into the city. I guess a few more hours we'll start to feel the effects of the snow coming up, and we'll get a full forecast coming up in just a bit. Also, some of the stories we continue to follow as the Democratic presidency comes to a close. The president and vice president in Arlington, Virginia, earlier today participating in the Armed Forces Full Honor Review farewell ceremony, and that was done today at Joint Base Myers-Henderson Hall. So we've been talking about corporal punishment, spanking your kids, and I wonder if this is something that you do in the heels of this story, where France now has outlawed spanking their kids, bringing the total ban to 52 countries. Hard to believe 52 countries now have decided that they're going to ban spanking. And for me personally, it's a personal decision. I just decided that I wasn't going to spank my child. I didn't want to. I've seen people who I believe spank their kids out of anger, and it just never felt like that was a discipline. I see, for example, my son every morning as he's home every day. We homeschool, obviously, and I get to see him. And you know, I vision my vision of my son is Tigger. It's Winnie the Pooh. It's Tigger. It's bouncing around the house. He's joyful. He's happy. And for me, even in a disciplined moment, I have to tell you, my heart, it's just, I hate to take away that joy. I hate when I yell at him, and sometimes he'll stop and he'll get upset or he'll cry, and it just hurts my heart. The idea of spanking my child just kind of hurts my heart. But I wonder what you do. Is it something that you feel should be outlawed? Is this ridiculous? There's one person that says that's the point. You're going to spank your kids. You aren't going to spank your kids when they make you happy. You're going to spank them when they make you angry. That's why it's called punishment. Well, that's what I worry about, is that whole notion that, you know, it's yeah, they've upset me, but I don't look at it as anger. I look at it as, all right, this is a life discipline we're talking about, right? This isn't anger. This isn't something that your child does something to you and you're like, ah. It's more like your child does something and it's like, oh man, he's got to learn not to do this. And so it's less about the anger and more about understanding what's right and wrong. And sometimes you worry about people that are out there that you see that maybe take it out on their kids just a little too much. Wow, you must be the perfect parent. I'm turning the radio off now. Oh, okay. Well, that's not a good. We're not going to learn anything about of this subject if you go away. Stick around. Let's talk about this. I'm not the perfect parent. I don't claim to be the perfect parent, but I am interested because sometimes you see a story like this and you wonder why it is that people want to outlaw spanking. Are they looking at this because they feel like people take advantage of kids, they mistreat kids, abuse kids when they're spanking because they don't understand the line that's there? Or is this something where, you know, you're making it so that parents can't parent? When you see the new law went into effect 2017, it bans any cruel, degrading, or humiliating punishment. Well, if there's a law that goes into effect that says you can't be cruel or degrading or humiliating to a child, what does that mean? What is that? What's your definition of cruel? Is your definition of cruel raising your voice? Because people raise their voice at their kids all the time. Is that part of the cruel, degrading? And then what happens if you get caught in public raising your voice? Then it's that kind of situation that's going on with the language that bothers me in this particular issue. But I just wonder, do you ban corporal punishment? Banning corporal punishment is another way for the state to take control of its citizens. And that's something that people have said before. That if the choice you make personally is, I like for me, for example, I just don't want to do it. I refuse. I feel like instead of raising my hand to my child or spanking my child, I just give him consequences. It's worked. I don't know if it would work universally. It works in my family. It's what I've decided to do with my son, and that's what we do. We have consequences. If you do something wrong, there's a consequence. He learns through his consequences. For some other folks, they decide that there's a plan. it's one of these situations where you're at a shopping center and the child does something wrong, and it's like, all right, get ready when we get home. And the child knows when they get home, you put all your stuff down, you put all your shopping bags down, you head into that one room, or you head to a chair, you sit on the chair, you say, all right, come over here, you put the child over your knee, and you spank the child. And how often that works or doesn't work? Is it necessary? For some people, they feel like it's the only way. And for some, for me personally, I choose not to. But when you see a text like that one, 57500, banning corporal punishment is another way for the state to take control of its citizens, you start to think, well, that sounds ridiculous. I mean, is that really the case? But when you see a line like this, when you see in the law, it says any cruel, degrading, or humiliating punishment, including any use of physical violence, including spanking in the home, and you separate that out and cruel, degrading, humiliating punishment. Well, hold on a second. What does that look like? So, and that's the thing, when somebody, and you feel like, and you worry about that they would spank their child out of anger. When that occurs, it can be easily viewed as a justification for being violent when one has anger. And that's what people look at in this situation. And so I wonder, maybe you can call. Let's do this. Let's take a break. And when we come back, why don't you give a call, 801-575-8255. And I would love to hear from you. If you spank your child, how do you do it? I mean, I really would like to know if it's something that you do, corporal punishment, if you believe in it, if you think that it's the right way to go when it comes to disciplining a child and you do it, I would love to hear from you. How do you do it? What's the process? Is there a place and a time that you do it specifically? Is it just anywhere? The process specifically, I